again, it's me. Right, today's recipe is a pistachio roulade with raspberries and white chocolate. So for that you're going to need 70 grams of shelled pistachio kernels plus extra, roughly chopped as a garnish. You need 4 large eggs with the whites and yolks separated. You need 130 grams of caster sugar, 80 grams of self-raising flour, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of almond extract, so almond essence, 20 grams of icing sugar, 300 grams of fresh raspberries, and also 2 tablespoons of hot water. And then for the white chocolate cream, you're going to need 200 grams of white chocolate. So you can use either white chocolate buttons or a block of white chocolate and just break it up into smaller pieces. 75 grams of unsalted butter, that's nice and soft but not too oily. You need 280 grams of a cream cheese, 270 ml of double cream, and another 1/8 of a teaspoon of almond extract. Now for the first part, you want to preheat your oven to 180 degrees if it's a fan oven, gas mark 6 if it's gas, and obviously 200 degrees if it's just a standard oven. And you also want to do, it says a shallow baking tray, but I haven't got a shallow baking tray, but any baking tray will do, and you just want to line it with greaseproof paper. Next, you take the 70 grams of pistachio kernels, not kernels, the shelled pistachio, and you basically break them up, in a food processor. So you grind them up. Doesn't matter if they're still on a little bit chunky, because it's going in the cake mix. So we'll do that now. Right, so for this I'm going to use a coffee grinder because I don't have a food processor anymore, it broke. So I'm just going to chuck them in. Put the lid on, and away to go. Right, so they are nice and browned up. And again, not too oily, you don't want to process them for too long. Next thing you want to do is you want to put your egg yolks and sugar into a bowl. So we'll do that now. So as I said, it was 130 grams of caster sugar. Oops. And your 4 egg yolks. So it's almost like as if you're doing a custard mix. And then what we're going to do, we're going to mix that up. Could take about 4 minutes, until it's nice, thick and creamy. And then you transfer that mixture into another bowl, but I'm going to carry on using this one. You add the hot water, and then you sprinkle the pistachios on. and airy and fluffy. It also goes slightly paler in colour. So that's nice and light and airy. So as I said, we go into add 2 tablespoons of hot water, and then we go into sprinkle over the pistachios and fold it in, so you know, not mixing but a bit gentler, and don't worry about it not being too well mixed, you know, it doesn't matter at this stage. So I've got the hot water. I've just used really hot tap water, that should be fine. Don't have to like boil a kettle or anything. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my tablespoon and then I'm going to pour the water in from the side. Just like that. And then moving that out of the way, I'm going to, like I said, add the chopped pistachios. Sprinkle them in. And then just gonna fold it in. Doesn't have to be perfect at this stage because you still got to add the flour. So there you go, that's what it's like when it's mixed. And the next step is to sift the flour and salt together. I've already done that. Again, it was an 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So we're looking at about that size, if you can see it. It's all quite small, like a pinch. And it was 80 grams of self-raising flour. So as I said, I've already sifted it. And then what you're doing is you sift that again into the egg yolk stage, and then you fold it again to combine the both. So bear with me while I grab my sieve. in the bowl, and again you carefully fold it until it's combined. So this now is starting to take on a rather nice sort of dough looking appearance. So once you've done that, we've then got to beat the egg whites. So I'll give these a clean and be back with you shortly. Right, I've cleaned my mixing blades. So the next step now is to whisk the egg whites until they form sort of soft peaks, so a bit like a meringue mix. That then will be mixed in with the pistachio and flour mix. Also to that will be added the 1/8 of a teaspoon of the almond extract. And don't do what I just did and tip the almond extract over the counter. It smells lovely, but it's now a bit oily to work with. And for reference, I'm just using a Moroccan almond extract. Doesn't matter what almond you use. So I'm going to whisk the egg whites now and we'll go from there. Right, so you know when your mix is done, when it's right, this fluffy is doubled in size and you get nice soft peaks with it. So this now is going to be folded into the pistachio mix. So being as this bowl is a bit bigger, I'm going to combine it this way. Try and scrape as much of the mixture out as you can. There we go. And then start to fold it in. And then once it's mixed all in together, we scrape it into the tray. Make sure it's nice and level, and then that will go in the oven which again, as I said, should be preheated to either 200 degrees Celsius, 180 if it's a fan oven, or gas mark 6. This then will be cooked for so roughly 15-18 minutes depending. You know, you want it to be spongy, not too crispy, but you don't want it to be, you know, sort of still raw and runny as well. Right, so now this is combined, as you can see, we're going to dip it into the tray. Again, making sure enough of the mix is getting in there and it's nice and spread out. Normally what I do to level it, I just kind of angle it around, make sure it gets in all corners. And then, just because it's really fun for me to do, and it kind of makes everyone else in the kitchen look around when I was working in restaurants, bang it on the counter. And there you go, that's nice and level. Right, so as I mentioned, this is going to go in the oven for 15 to 18 minutes. I'm going to put it on 15 because I've got a electric oven that's also a fan, so it's going to be on 180 degrees for me. So come back in 15 minutes and we'll see what it looks like. Right, so when the cake is done, it should be nice golden in colour, and I don't know if you can see very well there, but when you touch it, it should have a nice sort of spring bounce to it. So I'm going to leave this to one side now to cool down, and while that's cooling, I'm going to go on with the next stage and I'm going to make the white chocolate cream. Right, so after you've set the cake aside for about 5 minutes and given it a chance to cool down a little bit, you want to take some of your icing sugar. What you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle it over the top half of the cake. So we'll do that now. No, you don't want to go too nuts with the icing sugar. You're just looking for it to be like a little coat in there. What I do to make sure it's nice and coated is just rub it in with your fingers a little bit, not too, you know, rough. Just a gentle breeze across the surface. Once you've done that, you're going to cover it with a clean tea towel, so hence why this is on my shoulder. It's an old favourite tea towel of mine. Now you can use a wire rack to flip the cake over, but I find it easier to use just a wooden board for me. Also because I can't find my cake racks right now. And then all you're going to do is very carefully lift and flip. Lovely. And you probably can't smell it right now through the video, but oh, it smells delicious. And then all you do is peel off the paper and stare in amazement at the delicious pistachio coated sponge. I mean, how nice does that look? And then again, you're going to cover with a bit more of the icing sugar. So I'll do that now. Oops, come on. What I would if the icing sugar wasn't stuck in the pot. And again, you want to spread that icing sugar out so it's not all clumped in one corner or anything. Let's just get a bit more out of there. Best part about doing recipes is you get messy, but you can eat the mess. There we are, that's got a nice dust in. Again, sorry if you can't see, I can't quite get the camera angles right with the device I'm using. Right, so with this now, you grab one of the short ends of the cake and the towel. So either side, doesn't matter which. And what you're going to do, you're going to start to roll up the cake with the towel inside it. Because what you're doing, you're kind of training the cake to take on the final shape that you want it to be in at the end. If you don't do it and you leave it flat and it goes cold, that's when you get all the cracks and the breaks in it, and it, you know, doesn't have that nice rounded roulade sponge shape. So I'm gonna slowly lift and roll. Don't be too forceful with it. It's like helping an elderly person across the road. You've got to go at the pace that you want to go at. There we go, so that is now rolled up and is hidden inside this tea towel. So what we do, we leave that to cool down for a further 10 minutes. And you keep it in the tea towel the entire time. And obviously, if it does crack or anything like that, don't panic too much. And then the next thing we're going to start on is the white chocolate cream, the lovely filling that's going to go in it. So I'm going to put the cake over here. So it's nice, it's safe, it's out the way, I'm not going to crush it. And for the cream, the white chocolate cream, we're going to place the chocolate into a bowl, and we're going to set that over, well, I'm going to put it in the microwave actually, but you can set it over a bowl of, you know, a saucepan of hot water until it starts to melt. If you've got bowls that you can do that with, because mine are plastic, I can't do it as a sort of steam bath bain-marie version, so I have to microwave it. Obviously when it's fully melted, you remove it from the heat, you set it aside to cool slightly, then we'll place the butter in the bowl, and again using the electric mixer, we'll beat it on a medium-high speed for about 30 seconds until it's nice and smooth, and then we'll add the cream cheese. We'll continue to combine all that, and we'll eventually add the melted chocolate. Right, I managed to find a glass bowl, so I've currently got that on top of a little saucepan with some hot water. So as I said, you're gonna melt the white chocolate, and then remove that from the heat, let it cool slightly, and then in another bowl we're gonna mix the butter till it's nice and creamy. So I've got my little blender there ready. To that then we'll add the cream cheese, which I've got here ready, and then to that, once it's all mixed together, you then add the melted white chocolate. So hopefully melting the chocolate won't take too long. Right, we finally got the white chocolate to melt. Took a bit longer than I thought it would, but it's cooling now. So the next step will be to cream the butter, or just make it so that it's nice and smooth. So the butter is now in the bowl, ready to be mixed. The instructions do say to use a paddle blade. Unfortunately, my large mixer, the paddle blade got broken, and I have yet to locate a replacement, so I'm having to use my little standard portable mixer. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to mix this until it's sort of nice and smooth. Then I'm going to add the cream cheese. So I'll mix this first, if I can get it to turn on. That's nice and smooth. So now I'm going to add the cream cheese. Oops. And again, you beat mix it well to combine it. After that then you add the melted chocolate. The last step then is to add some double cream, and to the double cream I've added the 1/8 of a teaspoon of the essence, so that it's already infusing with the cream ready to go. So again, we turn on the mixer. As I said, we add the white chocolate. Just make sure there's no moisture on the bowl. You always know if it's not good quality white chocolate, because it, even though it's melted, it kind of remains solid. But just use whatever white chocolate you can get your hands on. And again, give that a good mix before adding the double cream and the almond. You might want to scrape down the sides of the bowl so that you get all of it combined. Scrape the excess off onto the blade. Really nicely combined. So as I said, the last step now, we'll add the double cream and the almond essence. We'll continue to mix that. Kind of want it to, you know, mix enough so that it kind of looks like little ripples, you know, little waves. And now you don't want it to be forming like stiff peaks or anything. Obviously when everything's combined, everything's ready to be assembled, you use a spatula, or like I've got, nice blade, spread the mixture about 2/3 of it to about, say, roughly 2 centimeters away from the end of the cake. I'll show you that in a minute. So for now I'm adding the cream. much of that cream out as you can. So there you go, that's forming nice soft waves. So that's ready to go. So we'll pop that off. Oops. Get as much of that mixture off. And make some space for the cake. Bear with me a moment. Right, so what you got now, you got your cake mix, not cake mix, your cake ready to have the cream spread on it. So what you want to do is you want to start spreading it as evenly as possible. You want to do about, say 2/3 of the mixture. But you want to leave about a 2 centimetre space, say about that much, where there is no cream, because that's going to be the end you're rolling to. You know, it doesn't have to be brilliantly neat, you just want a nice fill-in. Because this is where your raspberries are going to be put. So again, you know, you're going nice and slow. Take your time. Already you can see it's building up a nice thick middle. Probably not 2/3 of the mix, probably a bit less than that. Depends on how much you've spread out your cake mix. There we go, I think that'll do. Now what you want to do you want to place your raspberries evenly on top there. And now you want to say leave all but 12. So we'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then you're gonna put the rest inside. You can space them out as you like. I always do it first in neat rows and then just randomly anywhere you can fill them in. If you get any that don't look very nice, just get rid of them. That one didn't look very nice. Yep, the rest of those aren't looking too great, so don't worry about using all of the 300 grams of raspberries. And then now we roll up the cake once again, but this time you're not using the tea towel. So to make it a bit easier, use a palette knife. Slide it under the edge you're going to roll first. And then like before, but obviously without the towel, you just take your time. Take your time. Obviously the raspberries are giving a bit of resistance here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a plate ready. Try and keep the filling in the cake. And then we're going to roll him over nice. Oops. So that he doesn't fall off the edge there. And then what you do with the rest of the cream, you smooth this over the top, a bit like you would a chocolate log. So again, take your time, build up the layers. Oops. You know, again, it doesn't have to be neat, doesn't have to be super perfect. Just want to make sure it is nice and coated. I'll do a little of this. And there you have it. And then obviously with the remaining raspberries, place them on top if they'll fit. In my case, the raspberries are bigger than the cake. And there you have it. So this was a pistachio roulade with raspberries and white chocolate. Enjoy.